Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham. Located on Detroit's east side, Coup D'etat is one of 2 local shops in Michigan to be chosen for New York Times list of 50 best clothing stores in America. The article states Coup D'etat is inspirational and distinctive in its approach to customers and its community. So I reached out to owner Angela Wisenski-Cobbina to learn more about Coup D'etat and what makes it so unique. Now, what is Coup D'etat for folks who are not familiar with it?
Coup D'etat is a contemporary women's boutique with an emphasis on independent and emerging designs. So we have clothing, we have accessories, we have books, we have a little bit of vinyl, we have skincare. It's kind of really is an all-encompassing shop, definitely kind of geared toward a certain lifestyle. So, yeah, and we're really rooted in self-expression and taking risks and trying new things.
When you say emerging design, can you explain that a little bit?
So emerging is when I say that, I mean maybe some brands or designers who aren't as recognized as they should be yet. So we have smaller brands that are even in this country, and I really love that we have quite a few Detroit-based designers as well. And I think for quite a few of them, we're the only store to carry them. So I take great pride in that.
And when we think about a publication as large as New York Times and having a culture and arts reporter come in and take a look and write those beautiful things about Coup D'etat, talk about truly what it felt like seeing your name listed there with the top 50 best clothing stores in America.
I was completely blown away. Again, I didn't know it was happening, so it was a really wonderful surprise in what's been an immensely challenging year for small business owners and for many people generally. So, having this sort of acknowledgement and recognition and having it this great title, and especially being in the city of Detroit proper, really just means the world to me.
And Angela, just thinking about the city itself and thinking about the idea of luxury clothing or luxury brands or just having a higher end of clothing that's offered here in the city of Detroit, we're seeing that happening in downtown Detroit. But still, when we think about the neighborhoods and we think about the communities that are touching downtown Detroit, they still lack some of those. So can you talk about being in, outside of the main center of downtown Detroit, offering high-end, classy clothes to individuals?
I think what I like to hear from people is that even when they come in, and I do have a variety of price points, and I like to have that customer who might have a little bit more of a budget, and I also have much more accessible stuff, and that was really by design. There's a lot of things that we do and work with the community and the things that we give back to that I'm really proud of and the partnerships that we have. So it feels good to be able to have this and have it kind of stand on its own in, kind of an interesting part of town, especially what's happening here with the rest of the Little Village development. It feels like a really good fit to kind of really combine creativity and community. And that was part of the ethos when I really even considered coming over here, was basically like the overall neighborhood design and how it doesn't feel predatory or it doesn't feel the things that I don't want to involve myself with, So all things kind of aligned in a good way.
Talk about the fact that, you are making sure that not only are you talking to those who can spend a little bit more, but you're talking to those who can also come in at any price level.
Yeah. And one of my favorite parts of the criteria for the New York Times article which was a very covert operation over several months, and I didn't even know that I was going to be published, and I didn't even know that we were on the list. But one of the categories for their methodology in choosing these spaces was that even if you were to make the trip and didn't buy anything, would it still be worth it? And that was what I like to create here. I've been in spaces where I felt like, I don't know that I belong here. And I don't want this to feel like that. So I'm glad to see that they acknowledge that. Like, it'd be worth it even if you want to just come in and feel inspired, see something new and maybe learn something, then I've done my job.
One thing that really stands out to me is how I found out about Coup d'etat, because I found out about it through an art exhibit that you were doing with the photographer Bill. I can't think of Bill's last name.
Bill Rauhauser.
Thank you, Bill. And and that's how I found out about Coup d'etat. So for me, at first, I said, are they a clothing store? Or are they an art gallery?
What is this place? And I think we are a clothing store at the core, obviously, and we sell products, but this space, especially this location, has kind of evolved into, we have regular events, we have showcased different artists, we have pop-ups, and I'm able to platform people who don't have brick and mortar spaces but make really cool stuff. So it's kind of an all-encompassing space that just happens to sell clothing and accessories.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I really, really appreciate about our new business owners here in the city of Detroit, the legacy owners as well. But the new business owners are turning their spaces into third spaces and community spaces and spaces that are not just commerce, but a little bit more than that. So can you talk about the importance for you to make sure that people, like you said, have a space where they feel comfortable that they can go to?
Yeah, I think I've been the person as a teenager and even younger that would go into spaces and not feel welcome or intimidated by either the staff or the price points and the product alone. So I think I wanted to make it, get rid of that feeling and the possibility of that even happening, but also, keep collaborations and partnerships flowing. And that's really the key to, I think, continuing a brick and mortar business is, opening yourself up to partnerships and collaborating with your community. I think it's just beneficial for everybody, not just for your business, but, if you're going to take up space and you're going to have real estate and you're going to be invested, I think it's important to be able to participate and give back and provide, a safe, cool, and interesting space.
Now, when you talk about self-expression and making sure that you find your own identity, as a mom, how do you take that with you as well when you're trying to encourage folks to highlight their own selves?
Oh, well, as a mom, my style and a lot of stuff kind of shifted for me since becoming a mom. But this is part of the beauty of evolving as a person and as a business owner and as a human being. So I try to, if somebody is willing to take risks, I really just meet people where they are aesthetically and style-wise and try to make suggestions or introduce people to brands or designers or something that they may have not been familiar with. And the worst, you can just try something on and the worst that can happen is we don't like it. But the best that can happen is what happens here pretty regularly is oh my God, I feel amazing and I would never have picked this off the rack. So those moments are kind of the most fulfilling of it all.
Your community partnerships and the way you've been able to connect with other entities, businesses, community groups. If you could just talk briefly about that, or do you have any that you could highlight? We
had a pretty full summer of just regular pop-ups, which was fun. Most of those I brought in, an independent local designer or somebody who has great products and doesn't really have a space to sell them. So that was a regular kind of event that we did, and we activated the courtyard and the community here, and it brought with DJs and food, and it really brought people out from everywhere, not just the suburbs and, some clients that have shopped with me a while, but people who actually live in the neighborhood. So that's one thing that we kind of kicked off and had a really successful summer with. I love promoting, certain organizations. I did a fun collaboration with First Detroit earlier this year around Mother's Day to celebrate the work that they're doing, which is really important to me, especially as a mom now. So there's just a few. I obviously love WDET and supporting independent journalism. I studied journalism, so that's another part that's, very important to me.
Angela Wisenski-Cobbina is the founder and owner of Coup d'etat. Coup d'etat was listed as one of the 50 best clothing stores in America by New York Times. Coming up, it's that time of year. So we'll learn a little bit more about the secrets of the Christmas tree business. That's coming up next right here on the Metro.